Alright guys, so we got Algebra 2, Chapter 3. Alright, I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes as always and go over the main concept. So first of all, we got factoring, alright? So whenever there's no number in front of the x squared, it's a little easier. These are harder, so I'm going to go over the easier version first. I like to put a above the second term and m above the third, and then write my 2. We know we have squared, so there's going to be 2 factors. Alright, so from here, alright, what we need to do is figure out two numbers that add to 7, multiply to 10. So we got 1 and 10, right? 1 and 10 does not work. What about 2 and 5? 2 and 5 does work because 2 plus 5 is 7, and 2 times 5 is 10. Alright, so we got x plus 2 and x plus 5. Alright, so those would be our factors. We'd set it equal to 0. So then after that, we have 3x squared plus 14x plus 8, right? So this one's a little different. First of all, we got to get rid of that 3. I'm going to teach you guys my favorite method called slide and divide. So 3 times 8 is 24. I get x squared plus 14x plus 24. Alright, so from here, what you need to do is same method, add, multiply. So two numbers that add to 14 and multiply to 24. So you can pause it and try to figure it out, but I'm just going to tell you for the sake of time, it's 2 and 12. X plus 2 and x plus 12. Okay, so from here what we do is whatever you divide by, so in the beginning we divided by the a term. Whatever the a term is and you multiply in the beginning, that's what you divide by. So now we're going to divide by 3. So when I divide by 3, alright, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So one of my factors is x plus 4. Okay, my other factor, alright, see how this is in simplest form? One's in simplest form, slide the bottom number to the front. So the factors would be 3x plus 2 and x plus 4. So that's a quick guide to factor. And remember, when you factor, what you're doing is you're finding the x-intercept. So for example, this one, I would set it equal to 0, right? And I would get negative 5 and negative 2, right? That means that this graph would look like, so it's positive in front, so it's going to smile. It would look like this. So this would be negative 5. Oops, sorry, little message. So we got negative 5, and that'd actually be negative 2, sorry. Negative 2 and then negative 5. So when you factor, you're finding the x-intercepts, okay? So now what we're going to do, get rid of all this, we are going to go over the two forms of quadratics in this chapter. So you have standard form and vertex form, alright? So the easier one is vertex form. Alright, so first of all, when you have a quadratic, alright, it's always going to look like this. And there's two really important things. First is the axis of symmetry, so that's the line down the middle. And the second is the vertex. So that point is the vertex, and that line that splits it into two identical sides is called the axis of symmetry. Alright, so we will go over vertex form first because it's easier. So vertex form is called vertex form because it's very easy to find the vertex, which is this point right here, the high or low point. So the inside value, inside parentheses is the x value, and it's the opposite. So the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. Alright, this value is the y value, and that doesn't change. So inside, opposite, outside, not. So the vertex of that would be 3, 4. After that, all you would do is make a table, an x and y table. So put 3, 4 in the middle, and then go two numbers above, so 2, 1, and two numbers below, 4, 5. Alright, so then we would plug in and evaluate. So if I plug in and evaluate, it's pretty easy. Let's plug in, we'll plug in 2. So 2 minus 3 would be negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. So that's 7. Then that's 7. Alright, then we would plug in 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. So both of these are 16. So then once I have that, because it's symmetrical, I would plug in 1 or 5. That's my vertex, and then I would just plot those points to graph it. After you get the vertex, it's the same process of plugging in an xy table. Alright, this one on the left is a little harder. This is called standard form. Okay? So standard form, you have to use the formula. First, you have to find the axis of symmetry. This is the formula for the axis of symmetry, negative b over 2a. So my a value is 4, my b value is 8, and my c value is 2. So I just plug it in. So negative b over 2a, so here's b, it's b negative 8 over 2 times a, so 4. So 2 times 4, I end up with negative 8 divided by positive 8, which means that my axis of symmetry would be negative 1. So what we just figured out is we have our smiley graph because it's positive. We just figured out the middle line is right here. It's at negative 1, right? So then what you need is you need the y value. So we're trying to find this point right here. We know it's on negative 1. All you have to do is plug in negative 1 into the equation. So if I plug in a negative 1 everywhere there's an x, that will give me the y value of my vertex. Alright, so let's, oh, sorry, there is no x there. Alright, let's plug in negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. 4 times 1 is 4. And then we get 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. So you end up with 4 minus 8 plus 2. 4 minus 8 is negative 4, and negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. So that means my vertex in this equation would be at negative 1, negative 2. Alright, so last topic I want to cover is, and then remember guys, after we get the vertex, you do the same thing. You would plug in negative 1, 2 in the middle, and do 2 above, 2 below, plug it into the equation. Alright, so there's two other things you have to know. Alright, you have to know the directress and the focus. Okay, so I'm going to go over how to find those. Okay, so say we have, I don't know, say we have this equation right here. Alright, so I'm just making it general. Obviously mine is not perfect. Okay, so here's what you need to know about directress and focus. Alright, so if you have a graph, right, we're going to say our vertex, right here, that's the vertex, would be at 4, 1, right? You have two other lines, okay? Say the directrix, sorry, I'm saying it wrong, is right here. It's at, what would this line be? So this is y values, right? So y is at negative 1. So this line is called y equals negative 1. Here's all you have to know about focus, vertex, and directrix. Sorry, directrix. I'm struggling. Alright, so that is just a line below. Alright, so what you have to know is they have the same distance in their the same distance from the focus to the directrix. Struggling today, guys, I apologize. Alright, so here we go. There's my axis of symmetry. Alright, I'm just going to put AOS. OS, axis of symmetry. Alright, so we need to find the focus. Here's how you do it. This is the directrix. How far is the directrix from the vertex? It is a distance of 2. All you have to know is the focus is the same distance. So if I go 2 this way, up 2, alright, that would be my focus. So then I just count. So it's 4, 3. So in this instance, my focus would be 4, 3. That's the focus right there. And what you have to know, it's really important, alright, is they always have the same distance. So you see how that distance is 2. So the distance from the focus to the vertex will always be the same distance as the distance from the vertex to the directrix. And remember, the directrix is a line, the focus is a point, and so is the vertex. And then last thing, when you're applying these, my favorite thing, I should have went over this in the beginning because it's very basic, but if you have a positive graph, it's smiling. Positive people smile. If there's a negative number in front, it is going to frown. Alright, negative, frowny, positive, smiley. Another main topic is using the quadratic formula. Alright, so when you use the quadratic formula, make sure you just plug it in correctly. And contact me if you have any questions on any other topics in this chapter. It's a really important chapter.